When we talked about completing a square, and we had a problem like, for example, a squared plus 2ab plus b squared, the coefficient of x, of our x squared term, was always 1. Therefore, when we considered completing the square, we only had to think about half of b. We did not have to think about a's impact on completing the square. So today, we need to figure out how we're going to use completing the square when we have a coefficient of x squared. So the steps are very similar. We are given a problem in standard form, and we want to begin by moving the constant term to the right side just like we did yesterday. So you're going to have 2x squared plus 12x equals 72. And notice I didn't make an effort to leave space at that point. Then, here's the new step for the day. Look for the stars by it. Divide both sides by a. You're going to divide by the coefficient of x squared. What's our a value in this one? 2. So divide every term by 2. Now when I write it down, I am going to make sure I leave that space. All right. Now we're going to repeat. It's just like yesterday. What's our b over 2 value? 6 over 2 is 3. Squared is 9. Add that to each side. Now write the left side as a square of a binomial. Add up the right side. Now that we have it as a squared quantity, take the root of each side. Who can simplify square root 45 for me? Kevin? Perfect. Thank you. Isolate the variable. Subtract 3 from each side. Nice. And if you were to approximate that, you would put them into your calculator one at a time. -3 plus 3 root 5. -3 minus 3 root 5. We're not approximating at the moment. We're just going to leave our answers in simplified radical form. Any questions so far? Yes.
Would you would only approximate if the directions are constant?
Yeah.
If it said solve, you would just
if it just says solve, assume that I just want the simplified radical form.
Okay.
All right, you guys. So let's do it again. On number 2, the constant term is already on the right side. So let's begin by dividing by a. And here is where you might get a bit frustrated, because now we're going to have a little bit of fractions. But don't fear. So when I divide this by 4, now we don't have a coefficient of x squared, which is why we're doing this. 8 over 4. I'm leaving some room. I'm writing 1/4 over here. All right, what's our b value? 2 divided by 2? Squared? Add it to each side. Now, I know that this factors into x minus 1, quantity squared, but over on the right side, it is imperative that you leave your answers as improper fractions. So when I add my 1/4 to my 1, if you need to write it out, go ahead. 1 is 4 over 4. So that's how we get 5 over 4 on this side. Leave your answers as improper fractions. Don't use decimals, okay? All right, Will, what's next? You're correct. We get x minus 1 is plus or minus root 5 over how much? 2, yes, because 4 has a square root. Now go ahead and add 1 to each side. So we're going to get x equals 1 plus or minus root 5 over 2. Now you guys, who can take this a step further? If I wanted to have this with a common denominator and write this as one fraction with a denominator of 2, Tate, what would I have to do?
Well, you'd have to make the 1 a 2 over 2.
Yeah, so we'd have to change the 1 into a 2 over 2.
And then you just put it all down.
Yeah, plus or minus 5 root 2 all over 2. So you guys, either answer is correct.
5 root 2.
Did I write it wrong?
It's not 5, it's just root 5.
Oh, it's just root 5. I'm so sorry. Let's see if I can erase this carefully. I was just going crazy. Which way should you write it? This is probably a little bit more elegant, but this is also correct. I haven't decided if I'm going to mark you wrong for not doing the more elegant way. Either is fine. Alright, you guys, let's keep going. Number 3, let's divide out the 5. And we'll get p squared plus 4p, leave some room, and 12. Kevin, what's my b over 2 squared value?
It is 4p.
Nice. Oh, this one works out nicely. So p plus 2, quantity squared. What's 12 and 4? Perfect square. Oh my god. So p plus 2 is plus or minus 4. P equals 2 plus 4. P equals 2 minus 4. Oh, I messed up. Negative 2 plus 4. Negative 2 minus 4. There's an argument for not splitting it up like that. 2 and negative 6. Alright, what I'd like you guys to do is to finish the way through number 8. And a word to the wise, when you get to number 8, I need you to simplify first. Meaning you're going to FOIL, or use the rule rather, on these two square binomials before you can eventually solve by completing the square. Alright, nice work.